The words weren't even cold before the reaction hit. Reporters exchanged wide-eyed looks. Twitter, sorry, X, lit up like Times Square on New Year's Eve. Memes exploded instantly. Gabriel in a Patriots jersey. Gabriel holding 7 Lombardi trophies. Gabriel photoshopped onto Brady's TB12 supplement ads. But the real explosion came hours later. Because when ESPN's First Take rolled around, Stephen A. Smith did what Stephen A. does best. He took gasoline.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Poured it all over the rookie's comment and lit the match with his own brand of theatrical outrage. And let me tell you, Stephen A. cooked him alive. Smith went off for a full 5 minutes, pacing the studio, gesturing wildly, his voice climbing higher with every syllable. This is blasphemy. Tom Brady? Tom Brady? You've thrown exactly 0 passes in the National Football League, and you're out here putting yourself in the same sentence as the GOAT? Are you kidding me? I'm worried for this kid's mental state. Somebody get him a mirror, a reality check, and maybe a therapist. The clip went viral instantly. 10 million views in 2 hours. By the end of the day, it was everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, even late-night comedy shows. Dillon Gabriel had gone from unknown rookie to league-wide punchline faster than you can say 7 Super Bowls. Enter Shedeur Sanders. Now here's where the story really twists. Because while Dillon Gabriel was drowning in backlash, Shedeur Sanders, the rookie everyone actually wanted to hear from, did the smartest thing imaginable. He said nothing. No subtweets. No sly digs. No locker room shade. When asked about the situation, Sanders gave short, professional answer. I'm focused on the team. My goal is wins, not comparisons. That was it. And yet, it was everything. Because in one calm, collected statement, Shedeur separated himself from the circus entirely. He looked like the adult in the room, the leader, the professional. Exactly the opposite of Gabriel's wide-eyed, Brady-chasing bravado. And just like that, the controversy didn't just hurt Gabriel. It elevated Shedeur. The locker room reaction. Don't think for a second this all stayed in the media. Inside the Browns facility, the ripple effects hit immediately. Veterans don't want to hear rookies comparing themselves to legends. They want humility, work ethic, respect for the grind. And Gabriel's Brady comment? It reeked of entitlement. One veteran reportedly muttered, "Man, this kid hasn't even won the scout team yet." Meanwhile, Sanders? His teammates are watching him handle the storm with grace. He's keeping his head down, his energy positive. He's becoming the guy people want to follow, not because of hype, but because of presence. This is how locker rooms work. Respect isn't given, it's earned. And in that moment, Gabriel lost ground while Sanders gained it. The organization splits. And here's where things get even juicier. Cleveland's ownership, Jimmy Haslam and company, have been leaning toward Shedeur from the start. He's marketable, he's polished, and most importantly, he sells jerseys. He's the future they want to build around. The coaching staff, though? They were quietly intrigued by Gabriel. A safer option. A system guy. Someone they thought might be easier to manage. That balance shattered the second Gabriel opened his mouth. Because now, ownership has ammunition. This is why we wanted Shedeur. The internal split is no longer hidden. Everyone knows who the franchise favors. Gabriel didn't just hurt himself. He made the coaching staff look naive for backing him. Media ethics and racial undertones. Now let's zoom out. Because this story isn't just about 2 rookies. It's about narratives. Notice how quickly the media dogpiled Gabriel. Yes, he deserved criticism, but the sheer ferocity of the backlash raises questions. And notice how Shedeur Sanders was suddenly framed as the beacon of humility and professionalism. Which, don't get me wrong, he was. But part of this is also how the media loves a story of contrast. And some fans pointed out the uncomfortable truth. Had the roles been reversed, had Sanders compared himself to Brady, would the outrage have been even worse? Would the language have been harsher? Would race have played a role in shaping the narrative? These are real questions, and they matter. Because in today's NFL, media perception isn't just background noise. It's fuel that shapes careers. The social media earthquake. We can't talk about this without mentioning the memes. Because if you were online during the storm, you know exactly how bad it got. Gabriel photoshopped onto Brady's draft day headshot, the infamous combine pic. TB12 rebranded as DG12, complete with jokes about Subway endorsements and early retirements. Fans rewriting Brady's famous sixth-round pick story with Gabriel as the lead character. And the cherry on top? Brady himself was asked about it during a golf event. His response? I love confidence. But confidence comes from doing it first. That's what separates words from results. Ouch. Even Brady, the man himself, had to deliver a gentle reality check. Gabriel's crossroads. So where does this leave Dillon Gabriel? He's got two options. Option 1, double down. Keep the bravado. Pretend he's unfazed. Hope the firestorm blows over. Option 2, apologize. Own the mistake. Show humility. Rebuild trust with teammates, coaches, and fans. One path leads to infamy. The other? Maybe redemption. But here's the kicker. In the NFL, reputations stick. And rookies don't get many second chances. If Gabriel doesn't pivot soon, this comment could define his career before it even starts. Shedur's golden opportunity. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders is thriving, not because he made a big play, not because he threw a touchdown, but because he understood something Gabriel didn't. Silence can be louder than words. Every second Gabriel gets mocked, Sanders looks stronger. Every meme that drags Gabriel elevates Sanders' maturity by comparison. This isn't just good for Shedeur. This is franchise-altering. Because the Browns, an organization that's fumbled quarterback situations for decades, finally have clarity. They don't need to debate anymore. They don't need to hedge their bets. Shedeur Sanders is the future. And Dillon Gabriel? He's just the cautionary tale that made it obvious. The bigger picture. This entire episode is a case study in the NFL's unforgiving ecosystem. One soundbite can make you. One soundbite can break you. For Dillon Gabriel, it was the latter. For Shedeur Sanders, it was the opposite, a silent coronation, a moment where he emerged as the face of a franchise without even trying. And for the Browns, it was the latest reminder that they can't escape drama. But maybe, just maybe, they can finally turn it into something constructive. Because if Shedeur delivers on the field the way he's already delivering off it, Cleveland's quarterback curse might finally be over. Final thoughts. The lesson here is simple. For rookies, humility matters. Confidence is fine. But comparing yourself to the GOAT before you've even thrown an NFL pass? That's not confidence. That's career suicide. For veterans, leadership matters. Sanders proved you don't have to speak to lead. Sometimes professionalism is the loudest statement of all. For the Browns, clarity matters. Stop playing games. The locker room knows it. The fans know it. The league knows it. It's time to hand the keys to Shedeur Sanders and let him drive this franchise forward. And for Dillon Gabriel? Well, maybe he should start with a sincere apology. And a little less Tom Brady, a little more clipboard. So Browns fans, what do you think? Did Dillon Gabriel just tank his career with one comment? Or can he bounce back with humility? And is Shedeur Sanders already the franchise QB Cleveland's been searching for? Drop your takes below. And don't forget to subscribe. Because if this is what happens in training camp, just wait until the season kicks off. Because one thing's certain, in Cleveland, the drama never takes a bye week. The Dillon Gabriel fiasco didn't just dominate a news cycle. It reshaped the entire conversation around the Cleveland Browns. What was supposed to be an uneventful day at camp, one of those slow news grinds where reporters fish for quotes and players give cookie-cutter answers, suddenly turned into a lightning storm of national attention. It's not every day a rookie quarterback compares himself to Tom Brady. And it's certainly not every day that comparison detonates the Browns' fragile quarterback balance, like a stick of dynamite dropped in a glass house. The wild part? Gabriel probably thought he was doing the right thing. He probably thought he was showing confidence, trying to project leadership. Every young quarterback is told to believe in himself, to talk about greatness, to act like he belongs. But there's a fine line between self-assurance and delusion, and Gabriel sprinted across that line like he was running a 40-yard dash. Tom Brady isn't just any name. He's the name. He's the ghost that haunts every NFL locker room. The yardstick no one actually measures up to, but everyone secretly dreams of reaching. To invoke him before you've thrown a single NFL pass? That's not confidence. That's arrogance dressed up as ambition. And once those words left Gabriel's mouth, there was no taking them back. Reporters knew they had gold. Social media had its newest chew toy. The entire NFL media apparatus kicked into overdrive. And when Stephen A. Smith finally picked up the baton, the controversy turned from a rookie misstep into a cultural spectacle. You could feel the ground shift under Gabriel's feet as Smith unleashed that trademark monologue, raising his voice an octave with every syllable, roasting the rookie not just for what he said, but for daring to believe the football gods would let him get away with it. By the time the clip hit 10 million views, Dillon Gabriel wasn't just a quarterback in competition. He was a meme, a cautionary tale, the butt of every punchline. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders played it perfectly. He didn't need to raise his voice. He didn't need to fire back. He didn't even need to say Gabriel's name. When asked about the controversy, Sanders gave the kind of calm, measured response that makes veterans nod and coaches lean forward. I'm focused on the team. My goal is wins, not comparisons. 9 words that cut through the chaos like a scalpel. And in those 9 words, Shedeur positioned himself as the adult in the room, the leader who doesn't get rattled by noise. The contrast couldn't have been sharper. Gabriel as the overconfident rookie tripping over his own tongue, and Sanders as the poised heir apparent letting his silence speak louder than any soundbite. Inside the Browns facility, you could almost feel the shift. Veterans don't want a kid running around comparing himself to the greatest quarterback of all time. They want humility. They want respect for the grind. They want someone who proves it with sweat and snaps, not microphones and metaphors. And the more Gabriel tried to explain himself, the more obvious it became that he didn't understand what he had stepped into. Sanders, on the other hand, didn't need to explain anything. His presence said it all. The locker room began tilting his way without him even asking for it. Ownership saw it too. Jimmy Haslam has always been swayed by branding and marketability. And Sanders isn't just a quarterback. He's a movement. His name carries weight, his demeanor commands attention, and his jersey sales speak for themselves. Gabriel might have been the safe choice for cautious coaches who like system guys, but in one reckless comment, he obliterated that perception. Now the organization has no reason to hedge. They have their star. They have their face. Gabriel made the decision for them, even if that wasn't his intention. The ripple effects went further than Cleveland. Around the league, the reaction was swift and merciless. Analysts debated whether rookies should even be allowed to invoke legends. Former players rolled their eyes on podcasts. Fans flooded timelines with memes, photoshopping Gabriel into Brady's famous draft day combined photo, turning him into the poster child for delusion. And when Tom Brady himself was asked about it, the GOAT delivered the final blow with that calm dagger of a quote, "I love confidence. But confidence comes from doing it first." That's what separates words from results. Translation? Sit down, Rook. You're not even on the board yet. The irony is that Gabriel probably isn't a bad kid. He's just young, nervous, desperate to carve out a name in a league that swallows anonymity whole. But the NFL is merciless. There's no room for slip-ups when the spotlight is this hot. One wrong sentence can define you, and for Gabriel, that sentence might haunt him for the rest of his career. Unless he pivots and pivots fast, he risks being remembered less as a quarterback and more as a headline. And that's where the contrast with Sanders is so glaring. Shedeur doesn't need to shout his greatness. He doesn't need to compare himself to anyone. He just shows up, does the work, and lets his poise do the talking. That's why teammates are gravitating toward him. That's why fans are already anointing him as the future. And that's why ownership is starting to whisper that maybe, just maybe, this isn't even a controversy anymore. It's a coronation. But here's where it gets messy, because this whole saga also exposed the ugly underbelly of media coverage. People started asking the uncomfortable questions. What if it had been Sanders who said the Brady line? Would the criticism have been harsher? Would the scrutiny have been nastier? Would the media have leaned even harder into tearing him down? Those racial undertones, those cultural double standards, they're real. And they matter. It's not just about quarterbacks competing for a job. It's about how they're portrayed, how narratives are spun, and how careers can be shaped or destroyed by perception as much as performance. That's why this moment hit so hard. It wasn't just a rookie saying something dumb. It was a reminder that the NFL isn't just about football. It's about image. It's about narrative. It's about who gets celebrated and who gets crucified. Gabriel thought he was elevating himself with his words, but in reality, he exposed himself. And, in doing so, he elevated Sanders, without Sanders even lifting a finger. And you can feel the aftershocks building. Coaches are scrambling to reframe the quarterback competition, but no one's buying it anymore. The fans don't care about splitting reps or development timelines. They've made their choice, and their choice is Sanders. Every boo that rains down on Gabriel, every cheer that greets Sanders walking onto the field, every jersey sold with his number on it, it all points in one direction. The Browns of all franchises finally have clarity. After decades of cycling through quarterbacks, of watching talent slip through their fingers, of finding new and creative ways to sabotage their own future, they suddenly know exactly who their guy is. And the irony? It wasn't a touchdown or a highlight that sealed it. It was a rookie mistake by the other guy. So now the question becomes, what happens to Dillon Gabriel? Does he swallow his pride, apologize, and fight his way back with humility? Does he double down on the bravado and risk becoming a permanent joke? Or does he fade quietly into the background while Sanders takes over? Whatever the path, one thing is clear. The comparison to Tom Brady didn't just hurt him. It defined him. And unless he rewrites that story fast, it might be the only thing people remember. For Sanders, though, this was the kind of moment you dream of. Not because you revel in another man's mistake, but because it clarified everything. It gave him the stage without him even asking for it. It proved to the city, the locker room, and the league that he has what it takes to lead, not just with his arm, but with his composure. He didn't need to say he was like Brady. He just needed to show he wasn't like Gabriel. That's the brutal reality of the NFL. Careers rise and fall on perception as much as performance. And in this case, perception just handed Shedeur Sanders the keys to the city of Cleveland. The Browns' quarterback controversy didn't implode. It resolved itself in real time. Gabriel talked himself out of the picture. Sanders quietly stepped into it. And now, whether he's ready or not, the weight of an entire franchise rests on his shoulders. So where does that leave us? With a cautionary tale, a coronation, and a reminder that in football, humility is more powerful than bravado. One rookie tried to speak his way into greatness. The other stayed silent and let the world hand it to him. And that right there is the difference between a footnote and a franchise. The Browns' quarterback drama isn't over. If anything, it's just beginning. But one thing's certain. Dillon Gabriel's words changed everything. And Shedeur Sanders? He doesn't need words. He already looks like the future. The thing about NFL drama is that it doesn't stay on the practice field. It doesn't stay in locker rooms or behind podiums. Once the fuse is lit, it runs through every channel, every timeline, every broadcast until suddenly the entire league is talking about one thing. And in Cleveland right now, that thing is Dillon Gabriel's ill-fated Tom Brady comparison. It's surreal when you think about it. This was supposed to be an ordinary camp. No one expected Gabriel to be the headline. He was the other rookie quarterback, the one who might quietly compete for reps, maybe sneak into preseason games, maybe find a role as a backup. But with a single sentence, he didn't just put himself in the spotlight. He painted a bullseye on his back. Comparing yourself to Brady isn't like comparing yourself to any other player. Brady is mythology. He's not just a quarterback. He's the quarterback. 7 rings, endless records. The greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. You don't invoke his name unless you're prepared to shoulder that mountain of expectation. Gabriel wasn't prepared. You could see it in his eyes as soon as the words landed. Reporters blinked, pens stopped scribbling, cameras zoomed in. Everyone knew this was going to be bigger than a rookie pep talk. And then, like clockwork, the takes started flying. Fans roasted him mercilessly. Tom Brady Jr. trended online for hours, followed by Tom Shady. Someone dug up his college stats and put them next to Brady's, only to show Brady, the sixth-round pick who ran like a refrigerator at the combine, still looked more battle-tested by the time he entered the league. It wasn't fair, but the internet isn't fair. Once it smells blood, it never stops. The real avalanche, though, came when Stephen A. Smith got involved. This is the man who has made a career out of turning outrage into performance art, and Gabriel had just handed him the perfect script. Watching Stephen A. pace across the set, his voice climbing higher, his hand slapping the desk with every syllable, it was theater. "Delusional," he shouted. "Somebody call the paramedics, because this man has lost his damn mind." Within minutes, the clip was viral, bouncing across every platform, cementing Gabriel as the butt of the summer. What made it worse was how unnecessary it all was. Gabriel didn't have to say it. He could have given the safe, humble answer. He could have said he looked up to Brady, that he admired his work ethic. That would have been fine, respectful, professional. Instead, he tried to put himself on Brady's level, and in doing so, he looked like a kid playing dress-up in his father's suit. And while Gabriel was stumbling over his own words, Shedeur Sanders was building an empire out of silence. Sanders didn't need to clap back. He didn't need to gloat. All he had to do was stay focused, keep his head down, and let the comparison speak for itself. When asked about the controversy, his response was 9 words long. "I'm focused on the team. My goal is wins." That's it. Simple, direct, mature. And those 9 words did more for his reputation than any highlight reel could have. Suddenly, Sanders wasn't just the talented rookie. He was the leader, the composed one, the quarterback who knew how to navigate the circus without feeding it. In one moment, he became the franchise face without even trying. Inside the Browns facility, the shift was palpable. Veterans don't like empty bravado. They respect quiet confidence. They respect guys who prove themselves in drills, not microphones. Gabriel's Brady talk rubbed them the wrong way. Sanders' calm? That earned nods in the locker room. You could feel the balance tipping. Ownership noticed too. Jimmy Haslam has always cared about branding as much as winning, and Sanders is a dream come true. His name carries legacy. His demeanor commands headlines without controversy. His jersey is already flying off shelves. Gabriel was supposed to be the safer, quieter option for the coaches. But after that Brady comment, the choice was obvious. Haslam sees the future, and it's Sanders. Gabriel isn't even in the conversation anymore. The irony is painful. Gabriel wanted to stand out. He wanted to carve a name for himself. Instead, he cleared the path for Sanders to take over. Every time Gabriel is mocked, Sanders looks stronger by comparison. Every meme at Gabriel's expense doubles as free PR for Shedeur. The rookie battle isn't a battle anymore. It's a coronation. And yet, this story is bigger than just 2 quarterbacks. It's a mirror held up to the NFL itself. Because once people got past the comedy, the question started. Why was Gabriel's slip-up treated like a national scandal while other rookies get away with bold statements? Would Sanders have been judged even harsher if he'd made the same mistake? The conversation spilled into race, media bias, and the way narratives are shaped. Fans pointed out the double standards. When a white quarterback makes a wild claim, he's mocked, yes, but often in a playful, rookies will be rookies way. When a black quarterback does it, the criticism is often sharper, harsher, more personal. It's not paranoia. It's history. And while Gabriel deserved to be called out, the entire situation forced people to ask why certain quarterbacks are given more grace than others. That's what makes Sanders' composure even more striking. He knows the scrutiny is different. He knows the spotlight is brighter. And instead of taking the bait, he sidesteps it completely. He doesn't just avoid mistakes. He sets an example. That's leadership. That's maturity. That's why his teammates respect him, why the city's falling in love with him, and why the Browns finally feel like they might have their guy. Meanwhile, Gabriel's at a crossroads. Does he own the mistake, apologize, and rebuild his reputation? Or does he double down, keep talking, and risk becoming the kind of player remembered more for a soundbite than a snap? The NFL doesn't wait for anyone. Reps are limited. Opportunities vanish quickly. And if Gabriel doesn't adjust, this one comment could stick to him like glue. Sanders, on the other hand, doesn't need to say another word. His silence is doing all the talking. The city is behind him. The organization is leaning toward him. The locker room trusts him. He doesn't need to compare himself to Brady because people are already comparing his demeanor to the greats. And isn't that the real irony? Gabriel said the words. Sanders lived them. The controversy may have started as a joke, but it's turned into clarity. For the Browns, for their fans, for the NFL at large. The quarterback question in Cleveland has haunted the franchise for decades, but in one bizarre twist of fate, the answer might have just been handed to them. Not with touchdowns, not with stats, but with one rookie's mistake and another rookie's maturity. Cleveland has been starved for a quarterback to believe in. They've seen busts, flameouts, false hopes, and broken promises. They've been the punchline of the league for so long. Fans almost expect disappointment. But this time feels different. This time, the future doesn't feel forced. It feels natural, earned, real. Dillon Gabriel gave the world a headline. Shedeur Sanders gave the world a leader. And that's the story. One player tried to talk himself into greatness. The other let greatness talk for him. So where does it all go from here? Gabriel has to find humility fast. He has to show his teammates he's more than his mouth. He has to rebuild brick by brick, and that starts with owning his mistake. Sanders just has to keep doing what he's already doing, letting his play and his professionalism carry the narrative. The Browns? They finally have clarity. After years of stumbling through quarterback chaos, they know who the city, the team, and the league believes in. They can stop pretending there's a battle. There isn't. Sanders is the guy. Gabriel is the reminder of how quickly words can kill momentum. It's fitting, in a way, that the Browns' quarterback controversy wasn't decided on the field, but in front of microphones. This is the NFL in 2025. Perception matters as much as performance. Media narratives shape careers. One sentence can destroy you, and one silence can crown you. Cleveland's quarterback curse might finally be ending, not with a bang, but with a contrast. Gabriel gave us the bang. Sanders gave us the calm. And in that calm, the Browns might have finally found their future.